Tuesday, the 7th of July 2020. It's a pleasure having you for the news. We open today's edition in Kenya, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced a phased reopening of the country with the resumption of international flights from August 1, as well as the lifting of international travel restrictions. The move comes as pressure mounts to kickstart the country's ailing economy after nearly 4 months of coronavirus restrictions that have devastated key industries such as tourism. During a televised address, President Kenyatta said people from in and out of the country will be able to travel on international flights and domestic travel from the capital, Nairobi, the port city of Mombasa, and the northeastern Mandera. However, curfew from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. will remain in place for another 30 days. He warned the reopening was conditional as another wave will force the authorities to impose the lockdown again. Thousands of South African students have returned to school in the second phase of reopening of schools, even as the country sees the number of COVID-19 cases climb. Students in grade 6 and 11 started classes Monday. Worried parents fear that it's too soon to restart classes. Returning learners were required to produce indemnity funds signed by their parents, granting them permission to resume classes. Since the first phase of the school's reopening last month, 968 schools had to close due to outbreaks, and 2,400 teachers have tested positive for COVID-19. Parents who do not feel comfortable sending their children back to school have been encouraged to register them for online schooling provided by the Education Department. Burundi has launched a mass screening campaign in the commercial capital Bujumbura to fight the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. The resites of a technical school, a hotel, and a Catholic parish were chosen to screen people who voluntarily received the test for the coronavirus. Scores of Bujumbura residents wore masks as they participated in the screening. During the launching, Health Minister Tadi Dikuman said the government is determined to fight the spread of the virus. Those who got screened will get the result in less than 24 hours, he added. Burundi so far has reported 191 confirmed cases, according to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The ministry has reported the government plans to start the screening in the countryside next week by Friday, which will be done at the provincial towns. In Ethiopia, 5 senior officials from one of the main Oromo opposition parties have been arrested in the violence that killed 166 people last week and triggered numerous arrests, especially among critical voices of the government. The president of the Oromo Liberation Front, the OLF, said 5 party leaders, including 2 political advisors and a member of the Central Committee, had been arrested in recent days by security forces in Addis Ababa. The capital and the Oromia region have been the scene of the worst outbreak of violence last week since the coming to power of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in 2018. The violence was triggered by the murder of the popular singer Hachalu Hundessa, the standard bearer of the Oromo ethnic group. In Congo, Brazzaville, there are growing concerns about the state of health of General Mokoko, hospitalized last Thursday in a military hospital. According to his lawyers, his state of health has deteriorated after a malaise at the start of the week at Brazzaville prison. Latest information from a press release from his lawyer says he did not contract the coronavirus, though the diplomatic corps are in a haste to obtain his medical evacuation for proper medical care. His lawyers are asking his release on humanitarian grounds, together with some NGOs and representatives of the Congolese civil society. The request is justified since in 2018, the UN Working Group had ordered his immediate and unconditional release. In quote, as a precaution, it is not recommended with the COVID-19 pandemic that a person of his age be kept in detention, end of quote. His family says General Jean-Marie Mokoko will undergo a COVID-19 test this Friday. Taking you out of the African continent, France's new Prime Minister Jean Castex has made few major changes to the cabinet after President Emmanuel Macron gambled on a reshuffle to reboot his presidency and tighten his grip on government before seeking re-election in 2022. Some of the top government posts have remained unchanged, with Bruno Le Maire staying as an economy minister, Jean-Yves Le Drian as foreign minister, and Olivier Véran as health minister after his relatively success in handling the coronavirus pandemic. Jean-Michel Blanquer will also stay as education minister and Florence Pali as minister of defense, but the interior minister Christophe Castaner, widely criticized for his handling of anti-government Gilets jaunes protest, was replaced by Account Minister Gérald Darmanin. Gabriel Attal will be taking over as government spokesperson from Sibeth Diaye. Castex and the new government will be responsible for leading the economy out of its worst crisis since World War II, with a contraction of 11% expected this year due to the coronavirus crisis. Officials of Saudi Arabia are accused of being involved in the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and Russian authorities implicated in the death of lawyer Sergei Magnitsky. Khashoggi's death dates from 2018 at the Saudi consulate, and the death of lawyer is in 2019 in a Moscow prison after exposing a tax fraud scheme involving Russian officials. Apart from Saudi and Russia, there are dozens of individuals and organizations to be hit by UK sanctions. Myanmar and North Korea in the government side as it seeks to punish offenders under new powers. It is said that the sanctions target those behind some of the notorious human rights violations in recent years, Foreign Secretary Dominic Harab said. Note that last week, 20 Saudi officials went on trial in absentia in Turkey over the 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. With 60% of votes counted, opposition candidate Louis Abinader claims win in presidential poll held amid the pandemic. Election had been scheduled to take place in May but was postponed because of the coronavirus outbreak. The U.S. economist and tourism industry leader claimed victory on Sunday in the Dominican Republic's presidential race after voters braved the worsening coronavirus outbreak to cast their ballot for a new leader. Abinader had to suspend his campaign after testing positive for the coronavirus but recovered. While declaring change, he promised hundreds of his supporters at a closing rally, while adding that he would seek to relaunch growth in the country. Some 7.5 million Dominicans were eligible to cast ballots in the election, but some of the diasporas abroad could not vote because of the coronavirus lockdown restrictions. We end today's edition in Croatia, where the conservative Croatian Democratic Union, the HDZ party, has consolidated its power after winning 66 seats in the country's 151-seat parliament following Sunday's election. The party did not obtain an absolute majority and is expected to form a coalition government with smaller right-wing groups. The HDZ leader and incumbent prime minister said his victory was great but also an obligation because they had a tough mandate full of challenges behind them, and the challenges that lies ahead are even bigger. The result is seen as a crushing defeat for the Restart coalition, a left-leaning political led by the chairman of the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, which came in second with a 42 seat. That's it. Thanks for watching. Do so again if you can. Until we meet, do take care and stay safe.